Hi friends, welcome back to the Cozy Cushion. I'm Natasha, an intuitive empath with psychic ability that comes here very frequently now. But now I have a purpose and I have a 30-day challenge, the Cozy Cushion Challenge, that I'm going to engage in for my own sake because I need to adjust my sales and life, as well as for my community. So, two things are going to happen within 30 days. I'm going to build our community with more like minded people, and we're going to engage and communicate and stuff like that, as well as I'm going to be present in my own life with my own goals, and we're going to move forward with some structure. So I'm so excited about this new opportunity that I'm giving myself to be more present, to build a stronger community here at the Cozy Cushion, because the Cozy Cushion is really a soulful journey for all of us. We're going to share spiritual strengths, slow living, farm life, and authentic self-care. So, week one of the 30-day challenge is going to be all about inner peace and spiritual grounding. Each day, I'm going to do a short video. I'm going to post it to the Cozy Cushion, and it's going to guide us all through the next 30 days of transformation, mindset transformation, and become more grateful, healthy, and most importantly, take better care of our physical body. That's what I need most right now. So, to welcome you to the 30-day challenge, I'm going to share my story very briefly, and then I'm going to share my vision. So, my story, for those of you that do not know, some of you may know, and most of you probably won't know my story. My name is Natasha Greeno. I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada. I am the mother of two sons that are 15 years apart. One of them is a teenager and will be graduating this year. So there's that. And I'm 50 years old. I am also a stepmother to 3 other children, so that gives 5 children total. And I'm also, this is my favorite part, so blessed to be a grandmother to 12 grandchildren. So that's very exciting for me. It's one of my favorite things, but it wasn't always this way. So I'm going to take you back to being a little girl born on a dairy farm in Hants County, Nova Scotia, where my mom and dad lived together in a trailer, and we had what I thought was the most perfect life living on a farm until I was about 8 to 12 years old, and my parents took a change of pace and decided to get a divorce. So my life took a dramatic change very, very quickly for me, and I moved from my family farm to living with my mom, who is now a single mom. And through that course of my life, so age 12 to about age 26, I feel as though now that I'm an adult and I'm telling you my story to help you connect to me as a person from age 12 to age 26 is very summed up as a very independent time for me. I was pretty much left to my own accord to do whatever it was when I want it and how I want it. So I was in high school, uh, eventually elementary, of course, and then high school. And at age 17, I became a young mom and I had my first son, and I became a single mom. I was also moving through the trauma that had happened in the moving from my family farm into a new, more fast paced environment. And there was a lot of learning curves, but the important ones, just to touch base on, are addictions. I had a lot of dental problems, and I also had migraine headaches when I was young. So at a very young age, I started taking pain medicine. Just, I'm not going to give names or anything like that, but pain medicine for my teeth and my migraine headaches. Long story short, I had my wisdom teeth taken out, and I got a very preferred painkiller, which led me into a life of addiction, mostly surrounding painkillers, and also suffered from anxiety and depression. So I had all those medicines to try to help balance myself out. So that's a very big part of my story, because I went from a young girl to a mom to developing mental health issues and addiction. And I also am very grateful to share the story that I took chances on myself. I invested in myself and I believed in myself, even when I didn't. And that's very important for self care. So I have a strong series of survivor and just strong stories of survival and motivation, inspiration, triumph. But there's so many sorrows, friends. Along my journey between the ages of 12 and 26, during those times of addiction, I was also had the experience of suicide in my life. A young person I went to school with who was from a small community, and there was the initial introduction to suicide, but once I was introduced to that terminology, there was more of that in my life. And as an intuitive empath with psychic ability, when I was very young, I believe God trusted me with a lot. So I have a lot of experiences to share about that. So this 30 days is going to be a journey, my journey, but I'm going to journey with you guys throughout this time. And so that's a part of my story that brings me to the cozy cushion. It's why I built the cozy cushion in the first place, because right now it's a sacred space that I hold for you and I to engage and get to know each other and build trust. And I offer services that I really enjoy putting out there to the world, which we'll talk about later on. So once I was 26 years old, I had a spiritual awakening. By spiritual awakening, I mean I was starting to wake up in life, to going from being a teenager to an adult. And I had a lot of life experience with alcoholism, domestic abuse, uh, sexual assault. There's these topics that happened to me during that time that I was also in addiction, that I really want to share the ways that I found spiritual strength in building my life up. So the stepping stones that took me from that young farm girl that had a very traumatic experience for an extended period of time, which many of us have, We all, honestly, we all have. And that's what I love most about life and what I want to share with you. So at 26, I had a spiritual awakening, and I started paying attention to me, my physical body. There's a long story attached to that, but it also speaks about not wanting to be here anymore. My depression and anxiety was so bad, and I was spiraling out of control. I had so many beautiful, good things going on at the time, but I was destroying my own life. I was in a complete and utter mode of self destruction, and it was going nowhere fast. And I had a young boy in elementary school that needed me more than anything. I was a single mom. I was his mom, I was his dad, I was his whole world. So I needed to pull it together. 9/11 happened, and when those planes hit those towers, and I see my own life flash before my eyes, I had a complete awakening. Uh, During that time, I was also snuffing down my psychic ability and my intuition. I didn't want what God had promised me. I didn't want the gifts that I was given. As a matter of fact, I hated them. I didn't like being smart. I didn't like knowing things that came naturally and easy to me. I didn't like the stuff that God trusted me with, and He trusted me with a lot very young. And those are kind of entwined into my abilities as well as the way I maneuvered through life. So, with my spiritual awakening, I decided to become a personal trainer, a yoga teacher, a breath instructor. I took I got a job in fitness at Curves for Women. It was a international fitness franchise that had an abundance of academic learning behind it. It had an abundance of hands-on training that taught me so much about myself, my life, my abilities, my inspiration. I actually, after I got that job at Curves, that was the start of my detox, was my personal self-love and my self-care. So I worked at Curves. I detoxed an abundance of toxins from my system. I became clear, and I worked in a gym for 16 or more years. I moved from Curves to another fitness facility in the Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia, and I loved every second with my whole heart. I've had so many positive experiences. I gained so much physical strength, mental strength, and so on and so forth. But I also was still gaining human life experience. And life wasn't always cozy. There was times I ate from the food bank. There's a lot of stories we can share, friends, to lighten the load, which is the point, because this week we're focusing on inner peace and spiritual grounding. And this is where I'm going with this whole story. So after my spiritual awakening, I got fit, I got well, got a job, because prior to that I didn't have a job. And I learned about myself. I tapped into my intuition again. I embraced my gifts as a medium, and I learned more about it, and it taught me a lot. And let me tell you, friends, it wasn't easy at all. And so with that, I met some incredible people. And as you guys know, if I talk about my friend Ruby. Ruby is a very pivotal person. She is going to be in every aspect of the Cozy Cushion, because the Cozy Cushion is for her. It's for me, and it's for her, and it's a celebration of nature, nurture, education, and self-love, self-care. It's an environment that will be built where we can all become better every day in every way. So once I knew I wanted to get clear and so on and so forth, I worked in a gym. I got all the skills I needed because there was a point when I became over certified in everything and did nothing with it. Key point we'll talk about during these 30 days. I created a vision, the cozy cushion. I worked as a housekeeper during the time between I was a teenager, 17 and 26. Actually, I worked as a housekeeper into my 30s, but I did many things. So, as a housekeeper, I worked for women that were independent and had jobs and kids and needed somebody to take care of them. So, one of those people suffered from obesity. Another person was Ruby. She suffered from severe rheumatoid arthritis, and she used to be a nurse, and she was bedridden when I met her. Another person I met at Curves, she was a young girl. She had some disabilities. I'm not sure what they were, but one thing was she lived in a group home, and she suffered from some health issues like diabetes and so on and so forth. And when I met this person, I used my intuition. And one day, I paid very close attention to her because of her diabetes and exercising. I was a fitness technician at the time, taking all kinds of courses in diseases and how they affect the body and physiology and biology and all those things. And I really enjoyed, she always talked to me about such important things, and she was so smart, so smart. And she was having indigestion, and I just didn't feel right about it. So there kept days, and she lived in a house with nurses. So there was a medical team living in her environment that were caring for her. And so I, on one hand, was assuming they knew everything they needed to know. And on the other hand, I was like, there's something going on here. Long story short, during those conversations with this young girl, she was also young at the time, I believe maybe 27, maybe 30, between 27 and 30. She was talking about the indigestion, and I really said, I don't believe it's indigestion. And as a medium, what I could see was her chest was lit up, that there was something going on with her heart, and it was important and urgent. And so I reached out to the care people at the home in which she lived and just kind of said, I don't think this is indigestion. As a personal trainer, I believe she could be having some fluctuations, and maybe her her gut health isn't that great, and it's maybe we need to watch her blood pressure and so on and so forth. And they assured me everything was fine. And so the next day, as soon as I seen her, I knew that she needed to go to the hospital immediately. For no apparent reason. She wasn't having any signs or symptoms. I just knew this, and I needed to figure out a way, because to pursue her to do that. Long story short, I just asked her to ask the staff to really look into this problem, and she kept on them about it. And so it was after supper time. They didn't want to take her to outpatients to the hospital, but they reluctantly did, and they really expressed that they didn't think it was really that important, but they will if she feels she has to. Long story short, this girl had a quadruple bypass. She had 3 blockages in her heart, and if I wouldn't have listened to my intuition to get her where she needed to go, and she had to push through a lot of doors to even get there because she didn't drive. She had limited communication ability. There was just a variety of reasons why it was important. So the moral of the story is the vision that I have. When I met Ruby, she needed a pool. My other lady that I did housekeeping for also loved to swim and needed a pool. Very sensitive to chlorine. So therefore the pools that were available to both these people, they couldn't swim in because they were public pools and they were highly chlorinated with other chemicals that affected, you guessed it, with obesity, it affected the skin, especially the soft tissue. With the severe rheumatoid arthritis, the same thing. So my video, I just realized, is getting really long, which means I'm getting excited about my long-winded stories. But these people needed a different gym than I had worked in. And I learned from curves, hydraulic machines, hydraulic movement, that push and pull of building up that pressure was really fantastic. I got really good shape. I became a kickboxing instructor. I was in the best shape of my life. And it was awesome. But the other gym that I worked in didn't have hydraulic equipment. It had free equipment, the weights, the Smith machine and the dumbbells, so many dumbbells. And the whole time I was working there, I was thinking about creating the Cozy Cushion, a place where Ruby could come to swim in hydrotherapy pool, where I could have my dogs. I love dogs. That's one thing I left out. When I lived on the farm, when I was a young girl, my dad bred Newfoundland dogs. And I love big dogs, especially the dog de Bordeaux. There's one here right in the corner. It's on my vision board with so this is my dream of the Cozy Cushion. There's Ruby and the hydrotherapy pool. Here's me up here, right here. There's a waterfall here, and the sound of water is really healing. There's the dog de Bordeaux. I had a French Mastiff named Hooch that passed away from heart disease. If Hooch had a pool, he would have done much better. There's a NBA size basketball court here because my son is a varsity basketball player. When I was young, even when I was out drinking and partying, I was playing me some basketball. I believe it's wonderful for connecting families and working out our problems and getting stronger all at the same time while having fun. So I love basketball. So my vision, where that takes a lot of money. I even created the construction company to build this place, friends. I just haven't figured out a way to get and I'm working on it. I am working so hard on this to get the financial structure to actually build this physical space that we can all visit and enjoy and get healthy, wealthy, and just spiritually calm and bring inner peace to our lives. So, there'd be a gym and a walking track, an outdoor nature track. I really want to bring the ideas of nature and physical fitness together in a controlled environment. So animals are therapeutic. Nature, I'm a farmer's daughter. I'm a girl who likes dirt. So we need to get dirty to get grounded, healthy, and well. So the Cozy Cushion is this dream I have that's going to start in this sacred space, on this YouTube channel, on that Facebook page, with me and you talking it out for the next 30 days. So I'm going to let you go, friends. Thank you for tuning in for almost 25 minutes. I'm actually dry from talking so much. I just wanted to do the introductory to week 1. And week 1, like I said, is going to be inner peace and spiritual grounding. Tomorrow I'll be doing a guided morning meditation for spiritual strength. So I will be posting something every day for the next 30 days. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time with all my heart. We're going to get serious about this. We're going to do it together. And I hope that along the journey that we're both going to take, we're going to get happier. So we're going to hack into our happiness. We're going to live our full-time purpose. We're going to get spiritually strong. And we're just going to enjoy the next 30 days together. You are loved by me. Talk to you soon.